And we're back. I'm Ed Morrissey for HotAir.com and for TownHall.com. And with me right now is Roger Simon, the chief of Pajamas TV, Pajamas Media, and here at Cpac. Roger, and a good friend of mine from way back. Roger, it's great to see you again.
It's great to see you with the proper hairdo.
Yes, we have decided that we are going to launch a fashion drive here at Cpac.
No, all people with great insight into the world have hair like this. Or lack of hair like this.
Lack of hair like this, yes.
What do you want to call it?
I like to call it the smooth look. We are two smooth operators here.
Smooth operator.
Roger, you had your memoirs released, I think it was 2 years ago, but now you've got a new edition coming out.
Well, I've lived a lot more since then.
You have, yes.
And the new edition is now called, the simplified title of Turning Right at Hollywood and Vine, The Perils of Coming Out Conservative in Tinseltown. It's the same book with a few new chapters in it. And I added chapters to it because there were there's some interesting anecdotes that I wanted to add to it. You know, I love to tell stories.
Absolutely.
And strange things happen to me. And those we could talk about that. But thematically, I noticed that people on the right were being accepted more in Hollywood in the last few years. When I first wrote the book, there was a big backlash against them. Part of it was we're in the Bush era and all that. Now that we're in the Obama era and people are now uncomfortable with the president. There is, believe it or not, less Bush bashing in Hollywood. Still some,
right?
But there's less of that. And Obama was never really popular in Hollywood. You know, it was really Bill Clinton was adored,
right?
Because he's like a Hollywood guy in so many ways. It's ridiculous. Clinton could have been a studio executive. I mean, he would fit right in at Warner Brothers in the executive suites in about a minute and a half. On almost every level you can imagine, and he'd probably be very good at it. Obama was the West, not his world, and there was a mutual marriage of convenience because, he's on the liberal side and they love that. But he hasn't been very successful, has he?
No.
And Hollywood does not like losers.
That's interesting. Yes.
I mean, they like big box office, like you just interviewed my old buddy Richard Dreyfuss, who's out here with PJTV, and he was a box office bop-o smash, even in the movie that I wrote for him, The Big Fix. We did well, but not as well as he did in Jaws and Encounters.
And The Goodbye Girl, for which you won the Academy Award.
Well, those were all big hits, and they loved that. For a good reason, it's a business.
Right.
And
who knew they were capitalists in Hollywood?
Well, that's part of the masquerade. I write about this in here. The masquerade is, I'm a big liberal, and I'm the most liberal guy in town, so that in my real life, I can be the most ruthless killer. I mean, it's almost schizophrenic. I mean, in fact, it's almost graphical. I mean, not in the case of Dreyfuss, who's a very good guy and an old friend, but a lot of these people are the worst SOBs in their personal lives. And you can imagine the ones who are the most liberal. So it's almost like an inverted graph.
Right.
So, and it's a charade.
It's what we call limousine liberals.
Yeah, well, that's a polite term for it.
Right. Yes.
Because it's really worse than that. I mean, it's because you find those people. Because some people who ride in a limousine treat the driver well, and other people who ride in the limousine treat the driver badly. These are the people who treated the driver badly. But I don't love riding in a limousine. I've done it. But I always feel embarrassed.
Yeah, it's a little much.
It's a little much.
So, since you've written the book, conservatives have started to assert themselves a little bit more in Hollywood. I mean, you've got Kelsey Grammer and Gary Sinise has been trying to organize conservatives for quite some time. Yourself, of course, you were one of the first to kind of make a point of it.
I did the Hollywood show with. There are lots of. John Voight, of course, couldn't be more outspoken.
Yeah, John Voight, Adam Baldwin.
Right. It goes on and on. And there are more people that you don't know about because Hollywood's a lot of people that you don't know about because they're doing the jobs. But it's not just that. There's another thing that I'm always fighting with some Hollywood conservatives about. And that is, and I think you relate to this a lot because I know your work well, and that is, don't be a victocrat. I mean, as Larry Elder would say,
Yep.
if you think Hollywood discriminates against conservatives, go out and make a great movie and prove them wrong.
Right.
That's the way. Also, a good movie has to be a good movie beyond its politics. I mean, if it better be a good movie first.
As we kind of discovered a bit with American Carol, which
this is not a terrific movie.
not a terrific movie.
Kindly.
It was well intentioned and it had its moments, but didn't do very well.
No, first come the artistic values.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, look, the movie that could win the Oscar this year is pretty conservative, which is The King's Speech.
The King's Speech or The Blind Side, which
well, that's last year,
right?
But that was
featured conservatives doing nice things.
Yeah. The King's Speech is, I think, even better movie as a movie.
I've heard that.
But you know, the audience cares whether it's a good movie, which is a good message for people on the right, because go make a good movie or a good TV show.
This is an important thing, because the right is all about the free market, the market making the right decision.
Exactly.
You have to have a good product.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't have a good product, go back and get one and do it again.
So, do you think that it's become easier in the time that since you've come out as a conservative in Hollywood for people to get together and make movies about conservative themes or about conservative people?
Yes and no. Yes, ideologically, no, because business conditions have gotten tough.
Well, true. That's a good point. Right.
That has nothing to do with the ideology. That has to do with the business climate that anybody watching this show is well aware of.
Right, exactly. I haven't read too much about this, but I understand that there's a new movie coming out about Margaret Thatcher. Meryl Streep, who's a tremendous actor. Meryl Streep is going to be playing Margaret Thatcher, and conservatives are saying, "Oh, this is bad."
Look, you have to read the screenplay, and even then, you don't know because they change the script on the set.
Sure, right.
Now the real question in what you're saying is, are they going to? And I have a bad feeling about this one, but I'm not dead sure. I've heard rumors that the script takes gratuitous hits at Thatcher,
Reagan, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know. On the other hand, the Queen was pretty damn good.
It was pretty damn good. And Helen Mirren did a fantastic job.
Yeah, but that comes down to the script was also sympathetic to the Queen. The script, I mean, look, actors are only as good as their scripts. I'd say that as a script writer, that's self-serving. However, it's also true.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Richard Dreyfuss just walked by here, has done a lot of great movies, and he's done movies that weren't as good. What's the difference? Not Richard Dreyfuss, the script.
Right. Good point. So tell us a little bit more. Give us an anecdote.
Here's something that your audience will find interesting.
Yeah, you know.
The opening chapter of the new book.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk about that, and then we'll get off here. Is called My Old Life Calls My New Life, and that because I got a phone call as CEO of Pajamas Media at the PJM offices a few months ago from the Writers Guild of America, and I thought they were calling me up to do an arbitration, which is a thing the writers do to judge who deserves the credit on a screenplay, you know, when there are multiple writers. But it wasn't that. It was a functionary of the Guild saying, "Are you the writer who wrote, Roger Simon, who wrote The Gardener?" I said, "Yeah." But that Gardener's a screenplay I wrote 20 years ago.
Okay.
He said, "You know it's in production?" My mouth dropped open. It was. And it's been rewritten, and I have the story credit now. But this is a movie that I wrote 20 years ago that's coming out this June from Summit Pictures. It's pretty big, and it's an artistic type Oscar picture about an illegal, which is my original story, an illegal alien gardener in L.A. It's sort of like The Bicycle Thief.
Okay.
And so it's a serious film. But it was written by the ultra-liberal Roger Simon in 1989.
I'm surprised it took this long to get it made.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
But now, how am I going to feel when Mecha says this is the movie of the year?
That's a good question.
Anyway, read this book and you'll find out.
Read the book, you will find out. Let me just go ahead and hold the book up here. Turning Right at Hollywood and Vine, The Perils of Coming Out Conservative in Tinseltown. Roger Simon, CEO of Pajamas Media, Pajamas Television, and my good friend. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks again. Bye.